Okay, guys, continuing with part 3, we're on to vacuoles. You can think of the vacuole as a giant water storage tower that you see in the city. And so in plant cells, there's a single one here. It is the bean-shaped object in this picture filled with water. Um, so it is a water storage for the plant, and if you don't water your plants and they lose water, that's going to shrink and shrivel, and so will the plant. So they store materials such as water, salts, proteins, and carbohydrates. All right, chloroplasts. You can think of these like solar panels because they take sunlight and convert it into chemical energy through photosynthesis. These are only found in plant cells. These are the green shaped things in the plant cell. Again, they have two membranes. They contain a green pigment called chlorophyll, and they have their own DNA molecules as well. So similar to mitochondria that had two membranes and their own DNA, so do chloroplasts. So they are found in plant cells and algae, but not in animals. We do not have chloroplasts. So comparing mitochondria and chloroplasts, they are similar but different structures. They're roughly about the same size, but the mitochondria is the powerhouse and makes energy for plant and animal cells, and chloroplasts, they also do make energy but they do it from sunlight. Cell wall. So you can think the cell wall as the outer wall of a castle. It surrounds the cell membrane and provides support for the cell. Found in plants, but not in animal cell. They are made of a carbohydrate called cellulose. We did learn that last unit. So it forms a stiff box around the cell. They have pores in the cell wall that allow water and ions and some molecules to enter and exit the cell. Centrioles. These are located near the nucleus, and they help to organize cell division. So you can kind of think of them as maybe the secretary of the cell, keeping things organized. So plant cells usually do not have them, but in animal cells, the centrioles are formed from a type of protein called tubulin. Cytoskeleton, you can think of these as like the beams in your house that help keep the house's shape. So they help keep the cell shape, and they're made up of microfilaments and microtubules. Cilia, these are little hair-like substances on the outside of some cell surfaces, and they help the organism swim and capture food. Flagella, these are long whip-like structures that enable the cell to move as well. And cytoplasm, this is a gel-like substance in the cell membrane, within the cell membrane. So the cell membrane surrounds the cytoplasm. You can think of the cytoplasm as like the jelly inside a donut. Holds all the organelles and keeps them outside of the nucleus. So here is the picture of the cell. We started with the nucleus, which I did not give an analogy for, but you can think of that as like the headquarters or the brain of the cell that controls what the cell does. And then we have the rough ER right outside of that. And I didn't really give you an analogy for that either, but you can think of it as like the beginning of an assembly line in a factory where proteins are starting to be made, or whatever product in the factory is starting to be made. And then from there, we went to the Golgi, and I said that was like the UPS shipping center where it processes, packages, and ships out the proteins. And we had the mitochondria. Those were the powerhouse of the cell. We had, and not shown here, we had lysosomes. Those are the recycling center of the cell. And we had centrioles, were like the secretary of the cell. The cytoskeleton, which is like the beams of a house. Since this is a animal cell, there's no cell wall, but in plants they had a cell wall, and that was like the wall of a castle, and they had chloroplasts, which were like the solar panels. Thanks, guys, and we'll talk to you next time.